Hi everybody, Russ, the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well, my friends. Happy Friday, another week. Congratulations. Always easy when West Ham winning the day after, and obviously a great win it was, 3-0 away to FCSB in a relatively dead rubber game, but it was treated in the right way, and actually the fan base is really excited by the fact it was a good game. Obviously you play the opposition in front of you, but having is it six? I think we had 6 players at the end on 7 in total. In terms of under 23s playing, 4 debutants as well. Ollie Scarles becomes, I think, the 6th youngest West Ham player of all time. I think he becomes the 3rd youngest player for West Ham to play in Europe as well, after Reece Oxford and Domingos Quina, I believe. Anyway, it's the Hammers headlines. It's Friday. It means it's a press conference day. Obviously, we've got Crystal Palace on Sunday. Very short press conference, as always. It does seem to be. I think it was literally like a 10-minute press conference. In terms of the broadcast section, there's 2 sections. Obviously, the press conference. You have the broadcast section, then you have the embargo section. Wasn't that many questions about injuries and people coming back from injury, that type of thing, which did surprise me a little bit, considering the strength of the side we put out yesterday. So obviously the likes of Areola in goal. There was question marks about Fabianski from the Man United game when he came off at half-time. Does that mean the fact that Areola started yesterday rather than Randolph or Heggie, that Fabianski's okay? Could mean that. The fact I always call Wally Downs. I always call him Wally Downs. Flynn Downs played, and obviously he's been playing in space of Paqueta. Does that mean Paqueta's back? Fornals was playing, and by all accounts, David Moyes offered Lanzini and Fornals the chance of not going to play FCSB, and they both wanted to play, which was credit to them. It was obviously a very youthful side, but a lot of experience doing that 11, and they did the job, and good to see some of the players get a run out as well. It's going to be interesting, I think, what's going to happen with the Crystal Palace game. Let's get straight into it. Moyes was asked straight away about team news. This is what you've all tuned in for. Lucas Paqueta has been training, so he's probably, I should put that in inverted commas, italic, probably ready to be included in the squad. Whether he's ready to play, we don't know, but he should be available. We're starting to get players back. Naya Faguerd played his first 90 minutes last night, and that's great too. And by all accounts, he's not... I was reading an interview he did yesterday to say he doesn't expect Aguerd to maybe get any Premier League football until after the World Cup. I think that's probably fair enough. I know he's such a good player, but rushing him in now, I think he'll play on Wednesday. I think he'll play the game against Blackburn in the Carabao Cup, and then maybe Leicester, or maybe not against Leicester. I think with Zuma and Dawson, I think you've got enough there, but we know what Aguerd's going to bring, and hopefully he'll have a good World Cup and come back, and him and Zuma will form an incredible centre-back pairing, I think, with Dawson there as a backstop. If he's still there, he might want to leave in January. Who knows? But Paqueta, in essence, in David Moyes' smoke and mirrors way, is going to be in the matchday squad. We assume that with Flynn being in the starting lineup yesterday, rather than necessarily even on the bench, and the fact that Fornals as well, because he's been playing 10 as well. So that's great news. No mention about Cornet. Maybe that's smoke and mirrors. No mention about Fabianski as well in that statement, and a mention about Aguerd, which is great, which is fantastic to see him. He's going to be an absolute superstar for us, you can tell. Then he was asked about squad rotation. Obviously, we had a completely different. As I said, so many youngsters. The ability to almost leave the likes of Declan Rice and Antonio and Skamaka, or back at London Stadium. Didn't have to take them to Budapest. And then he basically said, we've earned it by the way we've won the games in the early rounds of the tournament. In the end, we found ourselves top of the group in Europe, which gave us the chance to leave some players behind. And we bloody well took full advantage of that, didn't we, really? Being the first team ever in history to win all of the Europa League group games. Although the Europa League Conference, has only been available since the last season and a half. But regardless of that fact, We're history makers. And I mean, lunchtime Saturday, I did the review, the ratings, and I titled it "The History Boys," because we had loads of boys playing and we made history. You're welcome. You're more than welcome. Next, he was asked about finishing strongly. Obviously, we've got 3 games left, 2 in the Premier League, 1 in the Carabao Cup before the World Cup kicks in. And he says, we want to finish in a strong position. Some of our performances have merited more, and we need to turn that into goals. Good performances tend to lead into good results, and I'm hoping that's the case. And that's the key thing. Last year, particularly, we weren't playing well and winning. And we're not doing that at the moment. We're playing well, and we're coming away going, we lost 1-0. VAR. If my auntie had bollocks, it'd be my uncle. That type of thing, So we are sort of. It's almost like we're not. We seem to be a lot more unlucky this season, if that makes sense. And I think maybe because when you're playing well and when you're riding high, you make your own luck a little bit more. And it's basically goals. We need to start scoring goals. And I think Anton made a point the other day. We're creating opportunities, but we're not putting them away. You go for that Man United game the other day. Declan Rice last minute, shot and De Gea saved. Bowen swinging and missing. Look at the Liverpool game, penalty misses. The Chelsea game, the VAR. We're not scoring these goals, but we're creating chances. If we weren't creating one, I'd be hitting the panic stations. But we are creating chances, and I think, look at Fornals yesterday, really took his chances well. But we need to finish strongly to go into the World Cup. And obviously the players who go to the World Cup, great. But obviously, the guys who don't, it's really important because actually, it's about maintaining, getting fitness, getting players in terms of, not dipping because come Christmas, we've got Boxing Day, you've got the 30th, and then we start into the FA Cup as well. So it's going to be busy times. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about Europe until March, which is lovely. Asked about just in general in the Europa Conference League, 6-6 from our viewpoint. We're relatively new in Europe, and we've had a great group stages 2 years in a row. It's a credit to the boys doing that, having not been in Europe that often. The truth is, we don't get a trophy for winning the group stages, and we know we're going to have to play well in the second half of the season to go further. That's right. You don't get a trophy for finishing the group winners. You do get a trophy for being top of the Premier League, but not in the ECL. And actually, I don't know if any of you saw, we went through, and I'm sure you guys have seen this already. But in terms of how in terms of the knockouts, that's how all the games are finished, all the group stages are finished for the ECL, the group winners and the playoffs. We've obviously got the 8 teams dropping in from the Europa League. Lazio, until very towards the end of the night, it was going to be Roma instead of Ludogorets. Who were very, very we were getting a late winner in Roma over Ludogorets, means they finished second rather than third in their group. Sheriff, who had a great Champions League last year, didn't they beat Barcelona or Real Madrid or something like last season? Braga, no mugs. And obviously the draw itself for the last 16 takes place next year. Obviously, the draw for the playoffs, I think, takes place Monday, Tuesday this week. And it's worth keeping an eye on that. But until we know who's won each of those groups, which won't be until after the New Year, then we don't have to necessarily worry about that. And obviously, I'm sure you all know how it all works, but there's a group stage, a playoff stage before we go back into the Europa League, Europa Conference League, and that playoff stage is from the people who finish second in each of the ECL groups will play the third place teams from the Europa League who drop in, the likes of Lazio. So, for example, Fiorentina could play Braga. Anderlecht could play Lazio. The teams that won't be able to play each other is Fiorentina will not play Lazio because it won't be, you can't get selected from the same nation, from the same federation. And similarly for the last 16 games, if Trabzonspor qualify for the last 16, they can't be drawn against Istanbul or Sivasspor. So because they're in the same nation. So again, it's just worth keeping an eye on that as well. Asked about asked about the game on Sunday. Obviously, we're playing Crystal Palace, and there's only one question about Palace. He goes, "I think Palace have been a good side. Have been a side we've signed. Have been assigned. We have signed very well." No, a side we played very well against. They've built in a way that they think is right for what they've got, and Patrick Vieira has done a really good job playing good football. Roy Hodgson put good foundations in before that, and they've always been a hard team to play. And indeed, looking at potential people who are not available, Edouard might not be available. Decorah, their site check, Decorah might not be playing. And like people like James MacArthur, who hasn't played this all season yet, and some others as well. They haven't won an away game this season. Welcome to London Stadium. It's going to be a toughie. It's going to be a tough game, and I think we won't take them too seriously. But with the likes of Paqueta potentially back, maybe Cornet as well. Maybe by the end before everyone buggers off for the World Cup, we could have a fully fit squad. Typical, isn't it? Absolutely bloody typical. Anyway, guys, that is it today. Thank you very, very much for your time as always. A few things I'd like to just draw your eye to. Early this morning, we put up a great little montage video from the Supporters Club from Andy there, and he's been taking pictures. Obviously, they were out went to the FCSB game. It's a new section we've got called Playing Away the Supporters Clubs. I thought it was quite funny. And so it's just like little montage video clips, pictures of their time in Bucharest, so check that out. It's very, very good. We've also got tonight Irish Tommy doing the Late Late Show. Make sure you check that. We'll have Holly's show coming up probably Saturday. Then we'll have all the pre-match stuff. We'll have the stat attacks. We'll have live from outside the ground pre-match in match day mornings, starting 11s, all that type of stuff. So anyway, that's it. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm. Have a lovely Friday evening, and I'll see you guys soon. Ta-ta. Bye-bye.